Can you talk a little bit about the role of trust? A lot of the ex-communist countries, the lack of trust really holds back the development of business, because for us to become partners, make contracts together, I have to trust you, you have to trust me. In order to grow your customer base, they have to trust you, particularly when you're doing new industries like you're doing or we're doing it. In order to raise money, you just talked about that, you need to generate trust in the investors. So talk a little bit, if you can, about that.
It's again a super multi-layered discussion and question. Like when we started TransferWise, we did it in London because of trust. Like we thought that by establishing a British company, getting regulated by the British regulator, we're going to be more trustworthy than an Estonian company. Also, easier for investors to deal with a British company than an Estonian company, and so on. So I think that has changed now, and Taxify, for example, is Estonian incorporated, and that's absolutely, proves out it's working just fine. But I don't think it was possible 10 years ago. So trust in society, I think, is a much more kind of complicated issue. I think that only it fixes itself in time as a society grows and gets more prosperous and less crime and so on. I'm not sure what you or we can do to fix it. I can talk about trust in TransferWise context. So trust for us has always been a big thing. So incorporating in London, being regulated, all of that was a part of it. Yet I'm still blown away that there was someone who trusted us on day one. I was a website which appeared on the internet. It could have been a man and a dog who started it. And somebody sent us £2,000. And by the way, at the time, we made no promises. We basically told people, give us the money, we will try to change it from pounds to euros, and then we'll try to pay it out to the recipient. We made no promises of any kind. It's pretty amazing that people are willing to trust this. I think it shows a couple of things. It shows that people were desperate for an alternative to banks. And just having an alternative, having something cheaper was enough to get people to try it. And I always believed that we're going to have a few people on day one, and hopefully more and more people that are willing to trust us as time goes on. Today there are still probably, 80% of the world that doesn't trust TransferWise. That's okay, because 20 will, and we only have market share of 1%. By the time we have 20% market share, 50% will trust us. So we've been keeping this in mind, and trust is probably the biggest asset a company has today. So thinking about how do we not fuck it up is really, really important.